Welcome to episode 157 of the Smugglers Galaxy Podcast. It is Labor Day weekend right now, and Jason and I are both out of town. So we thought the ultimate way to pay tribute to the Ahsoka show was to go back to our episode 3 years ago when Ahsoka appeared on the Mandalorian, and just hear our reaction to that episode.
That's the one with Morgan Elsbeth too.
Yeah, that is the Jedi. That's the whole basis of everything. The first time we see Ahsoka, the first time we hear Grand Admiral Thrawn in live action, and just hearing our reaction to it. I think we bring up some really cool points from 3 years ago that I feel are coming full circle.
Like what?
3 years later.
Like what?
Just with what's coming. And the whole Ahsoka show. Huh?
The whole heir to the Empire angle?
The whole heir to the Empire angle. And oh my God, we're going to get to see Ezra. And oh my God, we're going to get to see live action Rebels. And it's a fun, what am I thinking? What's that thing? Time capsule of us as a show. Cause it's actually our number 13 show. It's only probably like our third or fourth show together.
Oh, it's rough.
It is rough, but it's done very well.
More rough than last week.
Yeah, last week wasn't bad, but you could definitely you could tell we've upgraded equipment, and we sound a lot better now than we did then. And it also makes me realize that I'm still doing a lot of the same and I don't know. I've got the same mannerisms as I did 3 years ago.
You're the same person.
Yeah, so it's kind of funny. I'm like, I'm still doing that. So you guys enjoy it. I hope you guys had a safe Labor Day, and we'll see you guys next week.
Do you remember what I pick up on the start of the show? I didn't listen to it.
Dude, I don't know. I don't remember. I don't even think I picked up anything. I don't remember what you picked up.
It's probably just another Clone Wars Black Series or something like that.
I think it was a repaint of a Boba Fett.
That's probably a good bet.
It was Black Friday 3 years ago.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
So it probably picked up a lot of stuff.
Right. And the emotion is pretty raw on this, because because it was Black Friday, so we were both off work, and we were able to watch the Mandalorian and be like, dude, we got to record right now. So it was like we dropped everything and recorded it. So it's pretty freaking raw and emotional.
Cool.
So
can't wait to listen to it again.
Yeah, so we'll be doing 2 Ahsoka recaps next week.
May the Force be with you. I don't know. This is the way.
Or this is the way, or whatever. It's not, but we're not ending the show, so please listen.
This is the way.
We want it men.
Welcome to another edition of the Smugglers Galaxy Podcast. This is episode number 13. We're actually recording this a day early because Jason and I are both off, and we just got done watching The Mandalorian, and we freaking can't wait to talk about it because it was just that incredible of an episode. Jason, how's your week going?
It's going great. No complaints. It was a great Thanksgiving. How was yours?
It was a good Thanksgiving. We just kind of hung out at the in-laws, took it easy. Ate turkey and drank, so I can't complain.
Same here. We just hung out at the house, had turkey, plenty of turkey, 10 pounds of potatoes.
I saw that, dude.
Yeah. I love my mashed potatoes.
Oh, awesome. I love a good mashed potato. Did you wear that turkey outfit all day long?
Yes, I did. That's a tradition. Yeah, I was a turkey on display for a prize, like first place turkey. And so I've just been wearing it ever since every Thanksgiving, just to embarrass my kids.
Embarrassing the kids is the best part.
But before we really get into it, I just wanted to say that I'm very grateful for everybody who's listening to the show. I don't have many outlets to talk about Star Wars, so it's great talking to you every week, Glenn, and it's awesome that people are listening to us blabber on.
Yeah, I love it. Yeah, we hit the last podcast hit like 52 downloads. So that's pretty incredible for a little bitty podcast like us. So thank you.
So yeah, definitely. Thank you everyone for listening.
It's fun. It's fun watching those numbers keep rising and to see that the people are actually going back and listening to the back episodes and stuff. So yes, definitely. Thanks everybody for listening to this.
So awesome. Thanks for coming along with us on this ride and listening to us talk Star Wars.
Yes. Share with your friends. Tell them how awesome we are.
We are awesome.
Everything is awesome.
Especially us in Star Wars.
Yeah, my week, I didn't really do a whole lot in Star Wars this week. I didn't buy anything. Nothing happened. Nothing. Yeah, just Turkey Day and watching Black Friday sales and going, damn.
Yeah, that's part of the problem is that I'm in Christmas mode. So I'm buying big things for my kids that I don't want to say in case they either hear this or listen to it later. But we bought a couple big purchases for Christmas, so don't really have a lot for Star Wars. I did pick up that Disney store key. It had the child on it. It was
awesome.
Exclusive for Visa credit card holders. So we picked that up.
Did you do that online?
Yeah, we did that online, and I hope to get the Remnant Stormtrooper, which is released in for the Black Series at Target this Sunday.
Oh, we do need to talk about we're too freaking excited about the damn Mandalorian today.
Yeah, Hasbro's back on Monday.
Yeah, they released the child in the 3 3/4 size.
Yep, they released the child in Grief Karga, but the child, there's actually 3 different versions of the child coming out.
Oh wow, which ones are they?
The Razor Crest version has the vac metallized pram. And he's got a smiley face with the knob shifter in his hand. He also comes with the soup cup. There's the single carded version, which was announced on this past Mando Monday, and he's got a more nervous expression on his face. It's kind of like that downward frown almost, showing his teeth. And that version comes with the frog. And then there's the final version, the 2-pack with the Mandalorian and the child. And he has like a neutral expression on that.
I really want to know how small those things are going to be because the Black Series version is just insanely small. So I could just imagine how tiny the 3 3/4, vintage version.
Just looking at the Black Series right now and where he comes on the Black Series version of the Mandalorian, this thing's got to be a half an inch tall.
Yeah.
I mean, that's teeny tiny.
You're going to lose them. People are going to get pissed when they lose their Baby Yodas.
Each card back is different too, or
wow.
The 2 individual cards.
Freaking Hasbro.
That's what they do. I did some digging this past week to try to find the terms of the Hasbro Disney license for Star Wars, and the only thing I could find that the deal was renewed in February of this past year, but no other terms were disclosed other than being a multi-year extension. And the deal was for both Marvel and Star Wars, among like all the other Disney properties. But if it's a short-term deal, or if Hasbro was thinking they're going to lose the license, then they're not going to be investing a lot into Star Wars because of the cost all the cost that goes into creating those figures. I'm just thinking that we're kind of in a rebuild period right now where they have the license once again and they can start issuing new figures, but to get there they have to do a lot of repacks, like what's going on right now with the child here.
I guess they're changing it up a little bit more with the child versus just painting him a different color.
Yeah, the body's the same. The arm is a little bit different in some of those cases. The face is the only thing that's really different. That's just, again, speculation, and I'm just curious.
At least they didn't make a Christmas-themed Baby Yoda.
Not yet.
Or we need to start calling him something different, but we'll get to that in a minute.
Spoilers.
Spoilers. Oh, my God. Wow. Godly. It just, let's just get into it, man.
Okay.
Because I don't have anything else to talk about. We're just going to bullshit for another 5 minutes, and we really want to get into Mandalorian.
Get into the meat of it.
Yeah. Oh, my God, dude. As always with this show, more questions than answers. But what wonderful questions they brought up this week.
Yeah, I have tons of questions. I'll save them to the end because I don't want to spoil anything in the middle of our breakdown here.
I'll let you start since you're good at doing it.
Okay, so this is Chapter 13, The Jedi, written and directed by the master himself, Dave Filoni.
Oh, my God. The opening of this, you're there. There's no question. You knew it coming out the gate. Ahsoka was going to be in this. As soon as I saw those white sabers, oh my God.
Yeah, I thought the vibe and the aesthetic of this episode was just very special. It's very samurai-like. Like there was a very samurai feel. Even the walls to the city felt like some sort of samurai movie.
The whole feel for this whole episode, I got it. Even the actors, it was like old school samurai spaghetti spaghetti western.
And they went back to the things that inspired the original Star Wars, which I think is perfect. That's exactly what you have to do for a Star Wars film or show or something like this. But we're on the planet Corvus, this is the city of Caladan. We open, there's bells ringing and people are running. We see blaster fire out in this scorched forest. Someone is out there, but we don't really know who until we see, like you just mentioned, those white blades appear and they light up the face of the person holding them, who is Ahsoka Tano, played by Rosario Dawson.
I'm hearing people didn't like it, but I thought she did a great job. I think she really studied up on Ahsoka and on how Ashley spoke, because the first few words out of her mouth were like, is that Ashley? Because she did such a good job with that version of Ahsoka.
Why do you think they didn't use Ashley?
Unlike Katie Sackhoff, who played Bo-Katan, Ashley's never done any live action stuff. Katie had been in Battlestar Galactica and's done live action stuff, so she knows how to act, versus Ashley, who, has basically just been a voice actress.
And I think the heart and soul of Ahsoka is Dave Filoni, and he's able to guide Rosario through the character and help her develop it in live action and tell her who the soul of the character is.
Yeah, I thought she did a good job. It didn't throw me as bad as Bo-Katan did, just simply because I guess I just, what you're getting with Ahsoka, and she's going to look weird in live action, quote unquote weird in live action.
Yeah.
Whereas Bo-Katan was just, it threw me a little bit. But the second watching with Bo-Katan, I got better. Same thing with this and the Ahsoka. You're nitpicking when you're looking at Ahsoka. I was kind of nitpicking, and I'm like, well, her horns or her hair should have been bigger. I don't know what they call that. Her hair piece should have been a little bit more dramatic, because it did feel like they went to the Padawan version of Ahsoka for the hair piece versus the older version. But maybe it's a live action thing. Did you pay attention to the music throughout this whole thing?
Yes.
Oh my God, dude.
Yes.
The music. Okay, number one, watch the Clone Wars, watch Rebels, because Dave Filoni just builds, and it's like layers on top of layers on top of layers. And watch the parts of, you can do some research. You could see what Clone Wars lead up to Mandalorian, so you don't have to watch 7 seasons of it.
Yeah.
And Rebels, just freaking watch all the Rebels, because it's just amazing. But the music in this episode, when they first show Ahsoka and she's talking to the lady, it's either Ahsoka's theme or Clone Wars, and it's just, I'm getting goosebumps thinking about it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, layers upon layers, like you just said.
Oh, but go ahead, keep going.
Okay, we'll keep going through the episode, because I do have some notes here about the music, so I'll get into that too.
Yeah.
So I liked Rosario Dawson. I thought she did a great job. If not Ashley, I think she was a great choice to play Ahsoka.
And my wife knew who it was right away.
She's famous for Josie and the Pussycats.
Oh, yes. I forgot about that. I was like a kid on Christmas Eve last night. I couldn't sleep. I was excited. You kept checking your clock. You're like, I got up at midnight. And I'm like, no, it's not time yet. And you get up throughout the night and you can't sleep, because you're like, okay, I know what this is going to be. I know what this episode is. I woke up and first thing I did was turn it on, and I was like, my wife, we're all off today. And she was like, she's like, what are we doing? And I turned it on and she goes, oh, it's Friday. So she knew what was up. And I didn't even get on my phone until purposely, because I knew there were going to be spoilers out.
We'll go back into the breakdown here. Ahsoka is attacking all these invaders or soldiers. We're not sure exactly who at this point, but there's great reveals of Ahsoka. She kind of just appears in the fog with her lightsabers, and then she disappears again, which I loved.
It's definitely an Aliens vibe again, or just a typical old school action, somebody's coming to attack you vibe.
And speaking of aliens, so hold on, we'll get back into that. So there's a magistrate who is in charge of the city, and Ahsoka's looking for information, and she's giving the magistrate one day to surrender, or she's going to make her surrender. Surrender on your own, or I'll make you do it, kind of thing. And there's a number 2 there next to the magistrate who apparently, I mean, it is Michael Biehn, and I kept looking at this guy like they should have got Michael Biehn for this character. I didn't recognize him until the credits.
That was the dude from RoboCop, right?
No, he's from Terminator. He's from Aliens. So it was
okay.
kind of funny that you mentioned Alien because he was in the second one.
Knowing who he is now, he played himself or played the character.
Yeah, he played a great character, and I thought that was perfect casting. And so after that scene, we're back in the Razor Crest, and the child wants to play with the shifter knob, and he uses the Force to get it.
That damn shifter knob, dude.
Yeah, that's what he loves. He loves his toys, which I'll get into it in a little bit about that too. But Mando lands in the city. He speaks with the magistrate, who promises to give him a spear of Beskar if he kills the Jedi.
Yeah,
and really, he just wants information about where the Jedi is. So he doesn't commit to killing the Jedi. It's just this silent gaze, and she thinks that means yes, he'll do it, but he never really agrees to it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that whole scene, it definitely, you're back to that old school samurai feel, because you have the town who she's set up in the middle of, and everybody's poor, everybody's in poverty, and then when it gets through the inner gates, it's like this sanctum, and everything's clean, and she's got I don't, for a lack of better term, a koi pond surrounding this really beautiful house. And speaking of music and noises and everything, did you notice what all her guards, they sounded like probe droids? You kept hearing like a probe droid behind them.
I thought they sounded like Death Troopers.
The droid sounded like Death Troopers, but then the guards, I thought, had a probe droid sound going.
No, I didn't pick up on that.
Okay.
That's good.
It's very faint. Not very faint, but did you notice that the probe droids not the probe droids, the assassin droids look to have the same robes as Cherid from Rogue One?
No, I didn't pick up on that.
I was watching for everything in the background.
All the little details. Yeah, speaking of details, some of the things I missed when Mandalorian walks into the city, there was a droid there, a familiar droid from Return of the Jedi. I think it's the one that was being tortured in Jabba's palace.
It was the torture droid, not the one. The one being tortured was a Gonk droid, wasn't it?
Yeah, but there was a white one that was being pulled apart.
Okay.
It was the previous protocol droid.
Oh, there you go. Yeah, that's true.
Yep. Villagers are being strung up. They're being tortured because they're not obeying the magistrate. So there's a whole samurai vibe there. And like you just mentioned, when he goes inside the inner walls, the color palette shifts a little bit. It's more colorful. Plants are alive, unlike the rest of the planet. Everything else we see, for the most part, is dead. So she's got like this hidden sanctuary that nobody else can get to, only her.
Right.
Which conveys her power in the city and on the planet, I guess.
Yeah.
And apparently those HK droids, which you were just mentioning, are from the Knights of the Old Republic game, which I never played, but when I did a quick Google search, it seemed like they were part of that game.
Mm-hmm. Dude, Dave Filoni must love that game because he's pulling a bunch of stuff out of it.
And then, so the Mandalorian agrees to, find the Jedi. He goes out and has some sort of tracker to locate where she is. And here is where I made a comment that the music sounded very much like Blade Runner in this episode.
Okay.
Just like long notes and different tones and stuff like that. So yeah, the music is stellar in this episode, and I think it stands out as some of the best so far.
Awesome.
But then Ahsoka drops down and she attacks the Mandalorian. We find out that Beskar steel can deflect lightsabers.
Oh, dude, there you go. Yet again, just another awesome action sequence.
He wraps her up with rope, very reminiscent of Boba Fett doing that to Luke Skywalker.
Oh, yeah.
Return of the Jedi. He shoots out his rope, which wraps around Ahsoka. Ahsoka is able to jump up over a tree branch and land. And as she lands, she pulls the Mandalorian up with her. So he's strung up from a tree, and then he breaks down and that's when there's a standoff, and he tells her why he's there.
Yeah, and she stops dead in her tracks.
Yep, because that's a name she's very familiar with after season 7 of the Clone Wars.
Midweek, I realized Ahsoka was there at the Siege of Mandalore, so she knows Mandalorians.
Yes, so she's familiar with it. Well, she's more than familiar with it. She's done her best to liberate them from Darth Maul.
Right. Yeah, I didn't think I'd be this excited to see Ahsoka, but as you'll get in a minute, Dave Filoni's opened up a whole new can of worms in this episode, which I am just, I can't wait to get into.
So Ahsoka and the child are silently communicating through feeling.
Wait. You there again, you missed a part.
Okay.
Because when he goes, I have to talk to you. And then she looks and sees Baby Yoda.
All right.
And is like, I hope it's about, and it's all like, she perks up and it's like, I hope it's about this little guy.
I'm sure it brings back some memories and feelings of her.
And that's when she mentions, I've seen one before.
Yep.
In a wise Master Yoda. I don't think she calls him Master Yoda, but she calls him Yoda. And
not yet.
Oh, that's not yet?
Nope. No, she says, I hope it's about this little one. The next scene we see them just silently communicating, and we find out it's through feelings.
Yeah.
Ahsoka is learning the child, and she smiles, and it's just that moment of true Ahsoka, I think. Like, Ahsoka sees beauty, and she sees beauty in this child.
Mm-hmm.
And she's loving the expressions through the Force. And I thought that, again, Dave Filoni really putting the soul of Ahsoka into this character. She just drops this name bomb on us.
Yeah. There again, here's a throwaway line.
Yeah, and it's so important. His name is Grogu.
Mm-hmm.
We also find out definitively that he is a he.
Yeah.
So Grogu, and then she goes into the backstory that he was raised in the Jedi Temple and he had many masters, and he was hidden when the Empire came along, and somebody took him from the Empire. Someone took him when the Empire came, and he was put in hiding, and he became very sad and lonely because of that. And I think he's been pulled into the darkness a little bit.
That whole scene, jeez, you really felt bad for Grogu.
Yeah.
You know, I did. You're listening to it, and then you hear her mention Yoda, and then it just, damn it, the wife looks over at me, and she goes, "Are you crying?" And all I could do was shake my head because it was just so emotional, this whole episode. Yeah, I got goosebumps when she mentioned Master Yoda, and Yoda's theme came on from Empire Strikes Back. I just thought that was extremely beautiful. Mm-hmm. It's a beautiful throwback at the mention of Yoda, but no mention of Yaddle. Yaddle gets kicked to the curb once again. Poor Yaddle. Well, he was kind of freaky looking, or she, or I think Yaddle was a she. Okay. But whatever. Then they go to the second spot on this planet with some greenery. I don't know if you noticed that or not, but there was moss covering all the dead branches, the grass, the ground, the rocks. It was almost like this one little place on the planet where the Force was still alive and bringing some green to this dead world. She pushes a rock through the air using the Force, and Grogu doesn't have trust in her, so he doesn't return it. He's kind of closed himself off to other people, and he doesn't show the Force to other people. He's only been showing it through, I guess he's only showing it when the Mandalorian's around. Yeah, because this is when you learn. Is it now that you learn how close they are, the two of them? Yes. Yeah, it's sort of like a take a stone from my hand grasshopper moment. Oh, yeah. Borrowing from other material, but it's literally a stone until she says, he trusts you, so why don't you come on over here and you do it. And so he doesn't take the stone, but when the Mandalorian pulls out that shifter knob, Grogu takes that right away, snatches that. That's what he wants. And you can almost feel how fast he pulls it in, because you hear it hit his hand, like almost like a baseball mitt. And I thought this was genius. So either Filoni is a master storyteller, and he set up this shifter knob thing in season 1, or he saw the opportunity to use that to show how much trust he has in the Mandalorian, and he used that for the advantage of the story, to push the story forward, which I thought was just genius. Either he planned it or he used it. He saw an opportunity, and that's a true storyteller right there. We need to get ready for a long game on this show.
The deal that they make between the Mandalorian and Ahsoka is that the Mandalorian will help liberate the city, and Ahsoka will take the child, Grogu, to train him.
Yep.
As he was kind of told to by the armorer. That was the quest that she gave him. So this would be the completion of that quest.
Is this when she says she can't train him, or she will, or oh no, she said she won't train him because she's seen he's got a real power or draw to the dark side?
No, she doesn't really say that so much.
She basically says something like she has to be careful because he's so close to the Mandalorian that he could go to the dark side.
He's got attachments, and that's something the Jedi kind of pushed against, having attachments with someone, because if you lose that person, then you're going to turn to fear and anger and hatred, and that'll push you to the dark side.
Yeah, and she does. It comes right to the tip of mentioning Anakin, but she doesn't.
Right. She's talked about some of the people that she's lost. But I disagree with that. I think the Jedi should have attachment. I think they should love everyone and everything. And I think they should practice forgiveness when they do lose things. I mean, these are supposed to be wise, powerful people with only trust in the Force. And so if you lose someone, you have to trust in the Force that that's just part of it.
Right.
And so I think that's just the Jedi becoming less Jedi and more filled with the dark side, pushing people away, pushing Jedis away from people, from attachments. You know, to lose someone, they don't really care because they don't care about that person. They don't have the compassion. It's all about, being part of the Force or whatever.
Right.
But that's just more about the lore about Star Wars and Jedi. But so she goes to the city, and there's just some really great. I mean, Filoni's crushing the cinematography here with.
Did you notice how, like, when Baby Yoda hears Grogu, he like a puppy?
Yeah.
That was cute.
Yes. Because he's recognized his name.
Yeah, and he's like, I hadn't heard that name in forever.
Right.
And then while they're walking, Mando and Ahsoka are walking through the forest, and they're talking about the defenses that the lady has in this town. And he goes, "Your laser swords this will be no match even for your laser swords." And as soon as he says laser swords, you see Ahsoka smile, like, you dumbass. But now they're at the front of the town.
Yes. So they go. She goes to the town. She's alone. She jumps up onto the wall. She slices the bell in half. She destroys some of the invaders that are taking over the town. She lands inside the walls, and there's just, like I was just saying, Filoni crushes the cinematography here with the atmosphere. There's wind blowing. There's some smoke. Ahsoka's in the middle of the frame. The door's behind. I mean, it's just an amazing shot, and I just wanted to applaud that and take a moment to say that was really cool.
Yeah, this whole episode was just the cinematography and the music. It was, you were watching a 45-minute movie, which I knew this episode was going to be epic when I queued it up and it said 47 minutes, and I went, it's going to be good. Yeah.
So Ahsoka slowly approaches the magistrate, and she says, "Where's your master?" So that opens up more questions there than answers. Because you're like, is the master Moff Gideon? Is the master Hondo Ohnaka, for crying out loud? Who knows?
Right. Yeah, I was thinking it was going to be Moff Gideon, but yeah, you're just like, yeah.
Yeah, I thought it was Moff Gideon too.
Oh.
But we did learn a little bit more about, I guess her name is Morgan Elsbeth too in the Force. That's the name of the magistrate, and her people were killed during the Clone Wars. And so we learned a little bit more about her backstory too. Why she is like a crime lord almost.
When they finally face off, the two of them, I was expecting Ahsoka to say old friend or something along those lines. And part of me was like, please don't let it be Sabine. Please don't let it be Sabine. And just in the back of my mind, I was thinking, that's where I was thinking. I knew it couldn't be Sabine, but I'm like, don't know.
I didn't think that at all. Not to say like, well, I didn't think that. Or right. No, that didn't cross my mind.
Maybe I'm just so ready to freaking see
Yeah.
Sabine in this show that I'm like you were doing last week, just casting stuff, and my mind's like,
They decide to try to blast Ahsoka. She jumps on rooftops, which again is like samurai films. It's just amazing shots, and she takes off, and all the guards follow after her. And once they kind of break up, the Mando flies in to save the prisoners who are strung, kind of in these electrocution kind of pods outside of the inner city wall. So he comes down and he saves them. Spotted a little oath cat. Dave Filoni can't help himself but drop those in.
There were two of them in there.
Yeah, I didn't see the first one. I only saw the second one that kind of.
Yeah, the first one was really, really fast, and it was in the foreground. And I just happened, you see something move, and you're like, hey, loath cat.
Yeah, my son spotted it. I didn't. Even my second viewing, I didn't see it.
Yeah.
But then Ahsoka knocks out one of the HK droids. That's where Michael Biehn shows up, and he's about to like be one-on-one. The HK droids show up. She takes out one of them and then takes off. The second HK droid kind of jumps up onto a roof and flips up and goes to chase her down. A very Western feel and samurai feel at the same time. Ahsoka drops in on the magistrate, and there's a big face-off there. The Mandalorian faces Michael Biehn. That's a very Western feel. There's a nod between Ahsoka and the magistrate. It's almost like a nod of respect. We're both warriors and we're about to fight. They have an understanding about what needs to be done. When the magistrate knocks the spear on the ground and you hear that clang, I mean, that is just like, this is my weapon and I will use it kind of moment. It's almost like a samurai kind of feel again.
And you can't forget the robe drop.
No, yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
Very Obi-Wan Kenobi prequel feel to it.
Yes, yeah. Taking off the extra layer of clothes that are to protect them from the elements, but not from battle.
Yeah.
Yep.
God. And then you finally get to see yet again Beskar versus lightsaber.
Yes. And I had I love that scene, but I'm like, this person went up against Darth Vader and lived. So anyone else shouldn't be a problem. But here she lost, one of her lightsabers in the battle, which was an interesting way to escalate the tension for a viewer, the dramatic tension. Mm-hmm. But I'm like, there's just no way.
My issue with that scene was I thought she was holding her lightsabers wrong, because I need to rewatch, and I meant to rewatch the Darth Maul versus Ahsoka arc in the Clone Wars just so I can see if maybe she was holding her lightsabers normal. But she's always held at least the short one underhand.
She does switch it at one point.
When I saw her swap the hold on it and how she flipped it around and grabbed it underhand, I was like, now she's done playing.
Yeah, absolutely.
But yeah, I could feel you on that one. And I didn't think that. I was more worried that the fighting style seemed wrong, because I'm so used to seeing Ahsoka hold her lightsabers underhand.
Yeah.
And she was holding them both overhand. And I don't know if I'm saying it correctly. I know there's got to be more technical.
She has terms. A reverse. I think it's more of a reverse hold, where if you're holding it in your hand and the lightsaber's kind of going up, Ahsoka would flip it around so the lightsaber's pointed down.
Right. And at least the short one, she always held down.
Maybe because it's not a lightsaber that she's fighting a spear. And she's also like taking her time with it. The first couple shots were just more of like introductory, warming up kind of things, I think. Because they kind of pause when she hits the spear. It's just a moment of, tension.
It definitely felt like they were all feeling each other out and seeing what was going on.
And I liked, so they cut back outside the inner city walls, and the Mandalorians there face off with, I think his character name was Lang, if I'm not mistaken, if I heard that right. But they're listening to the women fight, and they're kind of like, okay, which side's going to win? And then we never see what happens to the magistrate. Ahsoka kind of gets her in a place where, it's like checkmate, you lose. And we kind of cut back out and we see Michael Biehn say, sounds like you win, because, she's dropped the spear.
And that's when he goes to put his shotgun down. About the time he gets the shotgun on the ground, he reaches for his blaster. Yeah. And Mando is just a little bit faster.
And when the Mandalorian first meets, is doing that standoff, talking about the music, there's a boom kind of in the background, like woo. It's kind of like a stand-in for that. And even the music kind of goes woo afterwards.
Mm-hmm.
I'm sure everyone loves my abilities here, but it's very reminiscent of the old spaghetti westerns, and yeah, it's just a 10 out of 10 almost for this episode. On every front. We cut back to inside the wall, and Ahsoka's asking a question.
Oh my God. Oh, where is your master?
Where is Grand Admiral Thrawn?
And at this point, I yelled, and my wife goes, Glenn, what's the matter with you? And I was like, you don't know what that means.
Yeah.
You don't know. Sorry, I'm losing my shit right now. Excuse me. I was like, you don't know what that name means to me. You don't know what that name being brought up in this episode means.
Yeah.
They're going to bring, sorry, I'm losing my shit.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
Yeah, so Grand Admiral Thrawn is still, so we know that Ahsoka knows that Grand Admiral Thrawn is alive and is out in the universe somewhere, and he's controlling some forces of sorts. Before we close out the show, there's a couple things that
okay, we'll come back to this moment.
Yeah. So what has become of Thrawn, and why is he in charge of pirates and not the Empire? Is he still in charge of the Empire? Did he come back into the fold and is now using, because the Empire's weakened, is he using pirates and marauders now as part of his forces to spread the power of the Empire throughout the galaxy still? If not, is he using this as a way to strengthen his abilities in commanding forces and then taking over the Empire someday?
Yeah.
I personally, we're 5 years out from Return of the Jedi. This is Heir to the Empire territory. I would, more than anything in this show, or more than anything in the universe right now, in the Star Wars universe, would love to have Thrawn be in charge of the Empire.
Yeah.
I mean, that's where this has to be. I mean, we don't know who's in charge. We kind of assume Moff Gideon is. The Empire could be fractured, and there could be multiple people in charge of multiple fractions, and Moff Gideon might have one. Grand Admiral Thrawn might have another. Maybe they're not unified yet to that First Order. There's a lot of questions we don't know.
I was trying to figure it out this morning as far as the timetable, timeline. From what I can remember, Rebels ends right about the time Rogue One begins, right in that era. And then they do the prologue, which is 5 years after. So that would put it roughly Return of the Jedi, when they go to search for when. Sorry if I'm going to ruin it. If you haven't watched Rebels, go freaking watch Rebels. But I can't. It's spoiler alert for Rebels. When Sabine and Ahsoka take off to go look for Ezra and Thrawn because they disappear into the universe. Is Thrawn back? Have they found him? Are they still looking for him? How is he controlling stuff? Did he come? What's going on? Because in my mind, I'm just thinking him and Ezra are still traveling through time and through space, but maybe they stopped and he's able to set stuff up and it was just an instantaneous trip, but in my mind he's still traveling through hyperspace, but maybe he's not. And
no.
God, this brought up so much.
Yeah, I think Ahsoka's looking for Thrawn because she's looking for Ezra. She made a promise to try to find him to someone along the way if she's that dedicated to finding him and not trying to prevent the Empire from growing in strength. Yeah, the question is, where is Ezra? Is he captured by Thrawn? Did Thrawn make it a deal? We're stuck out here in the middle of nowhere. You're free to go. There's nothing I can do. I don't think Ezra would do that. Did Ezra get killed by Thrawn? Which I don't think would happen because you'd want to see that on screen. That's a story worth telling.
I can't wait for that story, dude. That's a show in of itself. The Ezra. Sorry, I'm so this episode. This has got me so excited and so emotional.
I'm so excited.
I love these characters so much that he's getting ready to bring back, and I'm sure you can hear it in my voice. But Dave Filoni, you're a fucking master. Thank you so much for doing this show and just teasing these characters again. Wow, thank you, Dave Filoni.
Ahsoka is looking for information. If she finds one of them, she thinks she's going to find the other.
Yeah.
And I think Ezra's kind of more I think Thrawn has more impact in the galaxy if he's, moving the chess pieces once again. So she'll see his work a little bit more than she'll see Ezra's. So if she tracks down Thrawn, she's going to find out where Ezra is. I could also see Thrawn, if Ezra doesn't kill Thrawn and Thrawn finds a way to get his power back, he's probably going to strand Ezra on a planet. Kind of like you spared my life, I'll spare yours, and then we're even.
Uh-huh.
I could see Thrawn doing something like that.
Because he's always thinking 5 steps ahead, 10 steps ahead.
It's best to strand him on a planet where he doesn't have the ability to get off planet and do damage in the universe if he's all alone.
And then going to that theory, I know we're jumping ahead, but or I could come back to it. But
here, let me finish the episode.
You finish your episode, and then I want to come back to this part.
So we never see what happens to the magistrate. We don't know if she's kept prisoner for everyone in the city, or if Ahsoka kills her, which I doubt happens. I think Ahsoka got to the point where she surrenders, and Ahsoka's not going to kill someone who's surrendered. Then we cut to the Mandalorian, gets the Beskar spear as part of his reward for helping liberate the city. And Ahsoka asks, what about the child? And he says, I left the child on the ship. He gets the child on the ship. And here we see the Mandalorian struggle with it a little bit because he's got feelings for Grogu. It's a father-son bond, and it's very strong. And he's a protector, and he feels if he lets this child go and something happens to it, he's going to be regretful. At least that's how I read it. What I bring to the show when I watch it. I don't think he has the ability to let the child go anymore.
While that's happening, and they have that shot of the Razor Crest that just is lingering on that, and I'm thinking something's going to happen. I thought maybe Moff Gideon would pop up, or hell, even how amazing would that have been if Thrawn would have popped up at that moment, but nothing bad happens.
Then Ahsoka does show up at the ship, and she says that she can't take him, that they have to go to Tython, which has an ancient temple on it. They don't say it's a Jedi temple. She just says ancient temple. And he needs to place him, the Mandalorian needs to place the child on a seeing stone at the top of the mountain, and Grogu will reach out into the Force and determine his own path, which I appreciate that the child has some say in his path going forward. And that's where we kind of leave it. I love the smile Ahsoka gives as the ship takes off. It reminds me when the red lights of the ship kind of reflect on her face. It reminded me of Yoda watching Luke leave for Cloud City in a way.
Yeah.
But she was smiling, and I felt like she was feeling something in the Force. And that's just what I kind of took away from that last shot. It was just a very special last shot of Ahsoka just smiling and feeling something, I think. Obviously, she's feeling joy, but it's like, what about it? What's going on there?
What if Ezra is the Jedi that they find?
What if it's a dark Jedi that responds and brings him? What if Ezra is a dark Jedi at this point?
Oh my God!
And he brings him to the Empire. I'm still, especially after this last episode when we see the bond between father and son. There's a lot now to lose for the Mandalorian.
Uh-huh.
And so the worst thing that could possibly happen to him is to lose the child. And I think he is going to lose the child at the cliffhanger.
Something's going to happen. I have that feeling that either Moff Gideon will get him or that dark Jedi. Shoot, what if the cliffhanger is freaking Ezra? And sorry, the Rebels crew means the world to me.
Yeah.
Those characters.
Yeah.
Are just... I love those characters, and just knowing that the possibility of them showing up in this TV show blows my mind.
Let me get into one little piece here that I have a problem with this episode and this season in general. And then we can go into speculation of where the Rebels crew is right now.
Okay.
The driving force of this show can easily become cameos and stunt appearances. It's going to be more about, who's going to show up in the next episode than the story itself, which I'm a little afraid of, that it's easily becoming that with Cobb Vanth, Boba Fett, Bo-Katan, Ahsoka, and now Thrawn. It's like, who's next? Luke Skywalker? I just don't want the show to become all these cameos and Ezra and Zeb and Hera and all that. I don't know. I feel like that's a separate story that should be told. I don't feel like it should be the Mandalorian story.
I agree 1,000% with that. I am fearing that, yeah, it is. It's like, okay, who's going to pop up? And oh, nobody good popped up, so it's a crappy episode. It definitely, this season has been fan service, and it has been, let's see what happens.
Jumping off of what you're saying, episode 2 this season, there was no cameos. Episode 1 had Boba Fett and Cobb Vanth. Episode 3 had Bo-Katan. Episode 4 maybe had Snoke. Episode 5 had Ahsoka. When you look at season 1, it was a pretty thorough story. There was a couple one-offs, but it was all introducing new characters. And, I still want to see Bill Burr's character return for some vengeance. I don't know.
Bill Burr. The bald guy.
The bald guy. What is it? Renard, something like that.
Yeah, the guy with all the guns. That's a whole nother story that they can bring back.
Yeah, I want it to be more about the Mandalorian. I don't want it to feel like a saga film. I don't want it to seem like, again, the driving factor, the driving force and energy of this show is cameos and stunt appearances.
Because I brought something up like that last week with everybody. They'll bring a character back, and it's for one episode. Right. Instead of, I was really hoping Ahsoka would look at him and go, I'm gonna go with you, and hop on the ship and ride shotgun. But that didn't happen. And there's a lot of theories that this is gonna kind of springboard her own show, or at least of an 8-episode, 1 season, 8-episode thing, because Disney Plus has a bunch of that stuff.
Limited series.
Yeah, limited series, which I think would be amazing to wrap that up in one more season.
Kind of like Kenobi is going to be a limited series.
Yeah. I'd be happy with an 8 limited series, Ahsoka, Sabine, because it doesn't need to be drawn out. That can be told, I think, in 8 episodes, especially on Disney Plus, where they're giving him the freedom to do what he wants to do. I don't want it to be, it'd be nice to get back to storyline, because it is sort of like, all right, go to this planet, go to that planet.
Even into the grander scheme of things, I mean, Chewbacca could show up in 1 episode.
Oh, jeez.
And he's still around.
Yeah.
He breaks off from Han for a little bit. He can go on an adventure with the Mandalorian, and I don't necessarily want that, because it's getting too close to the Skywalker saga. But going back to speculation, so we kind of assume that this is post that epilogue scene in Rebels.
I don't know. If Thrawn is controlling some of the Empire, it has to be. I thought, when I did my research, this just real quick this morning, I thought it might have been concurrent, running at the same time, but it has to be afterwards. So, and maybe, like I said, in my mind, I was just thinking that him and Ezra are traveling through space. Maybe they did find a planet somewhere, and they are in a starship. Right. And, I'm sure there's people in that starship. He's got to have stormtroopers. People running that Star Destroyer, and maybe Thrawn was able to get his act together and start running some of this stuff again.
Last shot of Rebels, we see Sabine going with Ahsoka to fly off to find Ezra. Yeah. That was the promise she kind of made. So now we know that Ahsoka's on her own, which means at some point we can only assume that they broke up, not necessarily like in a negative way, but you go your way, see what you can find, I go my way, and we'll rendezvous somewhere else. Possibly.
Right.
Hera and I think his name is Jason.
Yeah.
Great name. They're off doing their own thing.
They're actually fighting with the rebels. With the
post Return of the Jedi?
Yeah. She said that they fought in the Battle of Yavin, I believe.
Well, that's
or Yavin is that Yavin in A New Hope, or Yavin when does
Battle of Yavin is A New Hope. So we're post Return of the Jedi, so we're post the second Death Star.
So maybe Battle of Endor, but they mentioned that they fight with the rebels.
Well, yeah, I mean, they show up in Rogue One.
Right.
I think they show up in Rise of Skywalker.
The ghost is in Rise of Skywalker.
Yeah. So we don't know if Hera's in there, but there's a possibility Hera could show up, and we don't know what she's doing right now.
Yeah.
The last we saw of Thrawn. Oh, let's jump back to the big guy himself.
Zeb
went to his home planet, right?
Yeah, they took Callus to his home planet.
Yeah, and that's kind of into the sunset with those characters, I would assume.
Yeah.
I don't think we'll see them again. I don't think they're relevant to the story. I think they had their happy ending.
I got a theory, or I've actually heard a interesting theory about those two, that they were actually a couple.
Oh.
Yeah, somebody was like, yeah, they're a couple, it's been a while, but there was a theory that they were a couple.
There's a bromance there.
Yeah.
Could work.
Hey, if Lando and L3 could be a couple, I guess
Yeah.
it could work with Zeb and Callus.
Sure. Let's include everyone.
Right.
But I think they're in a good place and they're not coming back. Finally, Thrawn and Ezra, as we've kind of been talking. Ezra kind of has Thrawn alone on a Star Destroyer, and he takes off into hyperspace. And we believe that they're continuously shooting through hyperspace, through unknown regions, probably even outside of the Star Wars galaxy. But we don't know any of that. We just know that they've taken off into hyperspace without any coordinates.
Right.
I mean, there's a good chance that they could have hit a planet or something on their way, which doesn't seem like the case now that we've seen this past episode.
Yeah.
The speculation is what happens after that. Did Thrawn make a deal with Ezra? Did Thrawn find a way to strategically outmaneuver Ezra? Did Ezra just assume that Thrawn is, kind of off the chess table, so to speak, and he's free to go and find his own path? Who knows?
Dave Filoni just opened up a big can of worms that I've been wondering for the last since Rebels ended. What happened to those characters? Because he left that show open-ended. He did it with Clone Wars. He brought Clone Wars back after years of being shut down. Does that mean that the Rebels will come back, but live action, or they'll bring it into the cartoon? Jeez.
Yeah.
This episode just brought up so many questions.
I mean, if there is one answer, it's that Dave Filoni is still working on those characters.
Yeah.
And so I'm sure he's working on a story for Sabine and Ezra and Thrawn. Who is your dream casting? Well, let's do that real quick because we have some time here.
Okay.
Who's your dream casting for Thrawn?
Oh, geez. I have to go back to... I keep saying the guy, Cumberbund.
Benedict Cumberbatch.
Cumberbatch, I think he'd do good, but you got to do somebody who just can act dry. I got to go back to, was it Chicago, Celebration Chicago? They had the big banner, big mural of all the episodes, 1 through 9, and then they had one for Rogue One and Solo, and then they had one for Rebels. The Rebels one, Thrawn looked awfully like Pierce Brosnan.
I personally think Lars Mikkelsen, who did the voice, who is an actor, he was on Sherlock.
Okay.
With Benedict Cumberbatch. He's also Mad Milkelson. Mikkelsen.
Let me see.
Mikkelsen? I think it is. I think it's Mad Mikkelsen.
Oh my God, yes. But didn't he play? He was in Solo, wasn't he?
Who, Mad or Lars?
Lars.
No.
Okay, he looks an awful lot like the bad guy in Solo.
No, yes, I know what you're talking about. That's Paul Bettany.
Okay, yeah. You know what? Now that I see him, I can imagine him being a Thrawn.
Yeah, he also played the Russian prime minister, I think, in House of Cards. I think when he casted his voice, he was perfect. I think if we ever got a live-action Kanan, Freddie Prinze Jr. would have been perfect.
Mm-hmm.
Vanessa Marshall would be perfect as Hera, which is, again, disappointing why they didn't use Ashley for Ahsoka.
I think a lot of people are disappointed in that.
I think Ashley the most.
Say that Ashley the most?
Yeah, I think she's disappointed the most, which I can understand.
I don't think there's a better person to carry the Star Wars mantle, to carry that to the next generation, because she is Ahsoka. She's made a career out of being Ahsoka, which not many people are willing to do. She's has the clothing line. She shows up at stuff. You'll see videos of her showing up at a convention with cupcakes to give to the fans. And she gives her time, and she's just... Ashley Eckstein is what Star Wars needs to be. I think she embodies everything that is good in the Star Wars universe and brings it out to the real world. And not being an Ahsoka fan 2-3 years ago, I'm becoming an Ahsoka fan through everything, rewatching Rebels and watching Clone Wars and just seeing the stuff that Ashley, you don't have a choice but to like her.
She's the good in Star Wars.
Yeah.
I think you said it perfectly. I don't know what else to add to that. What about Sabine? Do you have any Dream casting for Sabine.
I hadn't even.
Ezra.
Jeez. See, I suck at this kind of stuff because I've never even thought about it.
I think Ezra would be cool if he came back with a beard like Kanan, like he's following his master.
Yeah. Oh, who would be a good? You'd have to get like a younger actor, you know, somebody. I guess somebody maybe a little bit unknown. But yeah, dude, I suck at this kind of stuff. Who would I want to be?
Just true to character, I guess. Like Rosario Dawson was as good as she could do. True to the character.
Mm-hmm.
There was some wisdom in Ahsoka in this episode. You know, there was some history. You could tell that this was somebody who trusts in the Force, had seen some things, is not a Jedi, but is pretty close to being a Jedi for all intents and purposes.
Who would be your dream casting for these guys?
That's a great question. I don't have one. I was hoping you did.
I haven't really thought about it that much. I'm just.
I think it's only Thrawn. I just want Lars to be Thrawn.
I think he would make an awesome Thrawn. Now knowing who he is and seeing him, and knowing, yeah, I think he could act dry with that little bit of. Oh, you said he was the voice, right?
Yes, but Mads was in Rogue One. He played Jyn Erso's dad.
Okay.
That's who he was.
So then he can't be Thrawn.
No, he can't be Thrawn, but the brother could be.
Yeah.
Duh. People were probably yelling at us as they were listening. No, they were in Solo. You were in Solo. No, it's Rogue One. Yeah. Sorry, we're in overload mode right now because of Ahsoka in this episode. We're not thinking about much other than how awesome it was and feeling things.
This episode was it's got me all torn up, and then talking to you about it's got me even more torn up, and just hearing freaking Grand Admiral Thrawn's name again and her saying it like she did. It just, to me, just that mention. Damn it. Yeah, because it opens the whole can of worms up again.
I'll be heartbroken if Thrawn's not in charge of the Empire right now.
It would make sense. He should be. And I mean, how much of the Thrawn trilogy are they going to want to bring back? I have to I've been meaning to reread those, but I keep finding new books to read, and I haven't read the Thrawn trilogy in years.
Yeah, it's been a couple years since I reread them. But I don't know. I mean, if he's in charge of the Empire and he's trying to bring back, I don't know. I see Thrawn as somebody looking forward and not back, and looking forward to seeing what needs to be done. I don't see him trying to bring back the Emperor or Snoke. And that's just my personal take on the character, and I could be wrong. But I just don't see him being, saying we need to get back the Emperor. We need to. Based on some of those books that Timothy Zahn's been recently writing, Thrawn is using the Empire for order. He's not using it because he believes in it necessarily. And so I just think he'll be using the Empire again for order. I don't think he necessarily thinks I don't think he has loyalty for the Emperor. I don't think he needs to bring him back.
Well, maybe Moff Gideon is kind of working in the background and he doesn't know about it. So he's got this secret project going on.
Yep.
And then we'll see could you imagine seeing a battle with him and Thrawn? That would be amazing. Because Thrawn can kick some ass when he needs to. Oh,
and there was what was his name? It was just a throwaway line in Rebels. Captain Pelion, if I'm saying that right. He was in Rebels.
Oh, geez. And he's in Thrawn?
He's in Heir to the Empire. He's kind of the second command that kind of reports to Thrawn. Mm-hmm. I think he was in some of the other books, too. Let me pull this up. Forget it. Cut all this out because I'm so unprepared.
We were just so excited to freaking record this morning. We just couldn't stand it. It's like, we got to get this out.
Yeah, and I'm sure you're going to watch it a third time just to watch how she holds the lightsabers.
Yeah.
But I think I'm going to go have more turkey. And then I'm going to go to Ollie's because I saw that they had some vintage collection figures. I don't know if they have them at our place, but there's a couple old vintage collection figures, old from like last year, that I still need. And I'm hoping I can track them down there.
I just want to give a quick shout out. December 5th, there's a toy swap in Powder Springs. You can find it just called Toy Swap Meet. Just Google it off Facebook. It's outside. This is Martin, who used to help run Toylanta. He runs Retroville Toys. He He's been doing it. I think this is his third or fourth one. It's lots of fun. It's outside. It's social distance. They do all the, follow everything. It's cool to get out and see some more people that we hadn't seen in a while. So if you guys are not looking for anything or looking for something to do on the 5th, check that out.
And if you are not fans of or followers of the Georgia Alliance of Star Wars Collectors on Facebook, make sure you read our rules and agree and join us, because we have some holiday specials coming up.
Yeah, that's going to be fun. We're going to be doing that here soon. Try to bring some of the holiday joy to everybody.
We got some big names, right?
Supposed to be, yes. Yeah, we do. We got one pretty big name that, well, I don't know if, We
haven't announced anything, and I don't know when this is going up, so.
Yeah, this will be up on Monday. So, okay. Yeah, we got at least one big name that I know of, maybe some more. So it'll be a fun week of events.
It'll be awesome. I can't wait. I'm really excited.
Yep.
This is the Star Wars that's missing this year because there's no Star Wars movie.
Yeah, that, and can't get together because of COVID, and they canceled Celebration and canceled all the good toy shows. And that's what I like about the stuff on the 5th, is you're at least able to see people and enjoy the toys again.
Yep, absolutely.
Well, I guess that's it. We've talked enough, and time to go get some more turkey and do some Black Friday shopping. Yep,
absolutely.
Look us up, Georgia Alliance of Star Wars Collectors on Facebook. Yep. Jason, where can they find you?
You go to Instagram, Jason Wasulko, Wasulko. I'm on there. You can find us on the Smugglers Galaxy Facebook page.
Yep, and on Instagram. And so shoot us some emails, smugglersgalaxy at gmail.com. We'll probably read it on here because we haven't got an email yet, and we really want to read an email online. Thanks for listening to us ramble on for an hour about the Mandalorian and how we don't know where the heck it's going. And send us some of your theories. Shoot us and we'll read them, and we'll see you again next week. This is the way.
Grogu's the way.